and also realize um, societies that tend to be a bit more forthright and a bit more like, yeah, well, it's just the way it is. They abandon, such young. They infanticide. They practice, because like, well, this is something you can't accept. And the thing is, that's what develops later on. But at first, I'm pretty sure you could understand that. Well, somebody who just couldn't produce, couldn't the same way as everybody else. Well, they'd be placed in a certain position because mothers don't like their children dying. That's something else that I've kind of felt and realized is that I think anybody, like most all civilizations, women kind of decide if their children are going to die or not. I kind of think that's the case, and unless there's a really hardcore, masculine control and understanding and this and that, it's basically women are, they decide if their men are going to die or not, and so because I don't know, that's a whole suicide bomber thing. Anyways, but so that's my opinion that religion had to develop, and part of religion is also language and communication, and also with trade is this communication. Native Americans, they had sign speak, which they had all these different languages, but everybody seemed to understand visual representations, using your hands to gesture and then communicate. And that was communication language too. That was the main purpose of that was for trading, for commercial things. That's why I think they said that the French had kind of a better way of assimilating the Indians into their lands because they traded more with the French, or the French traded more with the Indians, and it's just like because that's what the French were looking at. It's like, well, this is make it a venture capital, or like some ventures, capital or business and stuff like that. Anyways, so but these religions start up, and you're going to have these little guys who, these people who, well, they're just a little bit different than the rest, and they're kind of respected and revered in that way. It's like, well, why are you this way? And so you can see that, well, if somebody is smart enough, they'll realize, well, because I was chosen by God, like I have this or chosen by the gods, I have some sort of special relationship, and therefore I don't have to work. I can dictate and take care of things. And there's also like whether the shaman, the healer guy, and you see that out of that. So you always have a special person who doesn't really contribute, but he has some sort of special connection, or there's something special about him. So you put him in a place of reverence in your little group. The others interact with each other, and they interact with this special revered person. And it's understood that, okay, well, we're gonna, we will provide you, we will, feed you, because of this, and we'll accept you as a burden on the rest of our resources. And if this, shaman is smart enough, then he realizes, okay, well, I have to put up, I have to deliver on what I say. So that's where, that's why funeral rites start developing, because it's like this idea that, well, we need to keep reverence for the dead, and also reverence for the previous shaman, because what's going to happen is that, well, this guy who's considered the shaman is going to pass away, and whoever's smart enough amongst the group is going to realize, you know what, if I imitate that guy, I'll be revered, I'll be looked up to, and I can just loaf around and eat while everybody else is out working. But I have to show it, I have to prove that I'm capable. So this witch doctor, the shaman, this healer kind of aspect has to enter into it. And it's like, okay, well, these guys are going to work hard. I'm just going to pick some flowers and, mosey around. And then whenever they need me, hey, okay, you got a broken leg here, patch you up, and, oh, you're having a baby here, and help them do that. Because, it's just medicine. The thing that's always been necessary and, people always going to look for and want is medicine. And, because watch, as soon as people start getting sick, what's the first thing they do? They get some medicine, because they go to the hospital. Because, and that's why, doctors can be the leaders of the world. It's a good thing they have the Hippocratic Oath, because it's realized, they shouldn't use that power, to use it against people. Which is always interesting. And like this whole idea of like playing God. I think that's what it is. Doctors realize, well, I'm, because I can heal. I have this power. People just want me. Or people are going to want me to do stuff, and I can hold that against them. So anyway, so shamans, basically they can influence, and in some cases even lead the people. But it's like they can only do it so much because they're limited by their ability. Of saying like, well, this is how we should live. So they can only do so much. So that's understood. Now, in Sumer, between the Tigris and Euphrates, this land that flooded regularly, it's pretty fertile. The people started living there because they realized that they could get a lot of resources out of the land, in terms of, and also food especially. So they started learning farming there as well, and they realized, hey, we can farm pretty good. And then they realized, we really should organize to farm. And you can see that, well, this is what the shaman would do, because the shaman is a pseudo-leader. He can, because they also realize the shaman can lead through influence the people. There's leading by force and there's leading by influence. And, a shaman can just say, oh, the gods are telling me we should do this. And the god, oh, well, look at this sign, we should do that. And that's how you lead people, But you also learn, sooner or later, or you learn after a while, like, there's only so far you can push people with my influence, and then they're just not going to believe me. So that's the key thing. But it's like what you understand, what you can communicate. That's what you can control, kind of thing. What happens is that there's some of these shamans, they realize, and especially through talking to people, and especially as their groups get larger, that they have to be they have to show a bit more moxie in how they, do the smoke and mirrors bit of religion and control over people. How do you organize a group of people? You say, like, well, we are all connected because we are the children of this God. And therefore, we have a certain order that we're going to obey because we are the children of this God. And that's why, like, the first, it wasn't Hammurabi, but there was a guy before him, Sunro, the Great, something like that. But anyways, and this is like 1729 BC. So, the equivalent time that we are existing now, from 0 AD, is when, civilization was beginning. And all civilization was people who realized, all right, we don't have to hunt animals around anymore. We can just, settle down here and we can farm. They learn farming, and that also kind of, I'm looking at this thing for North America and saying that they figured that the first people came from Siberia either 15 to 20,000 years ago, and there's one thing, this neat thing about a tooth that they found at Tierra del Fuego, which is like the very southern tip of South America, they found a tooth in like an Aleutian island, and they ran a genetic test and it matches the genes in some Indians in Tierra del Fuego, which is like, but they think it's more because there's but it's like 1,200 or something, or was it 1,200? 10,000 years ago. So it's like, it was, they think people started going in there 20 to 15,000 years ago, but a 10,000 year ago, so a lot closer to us, tooth was found, and fossilized tooth in an Alaskan island, and it matches Tierra del Fuego. So, so you can imagine, and these people would have been in boats, they think too. So, and there is some evidence of that, that people were traveling around in boats. So that they were organized and sophisticated enough. And, so a boat requires language communication as well. So language existed by then. But I think that everybody pretty much had a religion by that point as well. As soon as you could communicate, then you also had religion. Religion quickly followed after it. And it's because, well, you had to tell stories and you had to communicate, but also it's through stories and through religion that you control people. Because why do you believe what you believe? It's because somebody tells you to. And as far as that's the truth. And look at now. You watch television, you see if you misbehave, you'll be punished. So that's why you don't misbehave. Because the evidence is right there.